BARK Radio.
What's good, everybody? It's Robo from Allbark back with another video, and today I'm bringing my Week 7 NFL picks. I'm picking every game both straight up and against the spread and keeping track of my weekly and yearly record. So with that said, let's go ahead and recap the Week 6 results. Last week we bounced back going 10-4 on winners and stayed in the positive against the spread going 8-6. So another small step in the green for the season record. This week's matchups look super tough, honestly, so I'm hoping to stay rolling throughout the year. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with Sunday's matchups. This week's London game is between the Jaguars and the Rams, and this is maybe the toughest international game to pick for me so far. I think it's the best matchup of teams we've seen, especially with Puka being out, which definitely evens the playing field a bit more for the Jags. But the Rams have one of the more balanced rosters in the league to me. They're top 10 in scoring offense and defensive efficiency, while the Jaguars have struggled on both sides of the ball this season despite their 4-2 record. The Rams' offensive line has been very solid this year, given Stafford time in the pocket, and I think that plays to their advantage without the safety net and Puka this week. Jacksonville's secondary just is not a great unit, and on the other side of the ball, the Rams' defense has been forcing a ton of turnovers this season and has some elite pass rushing talent to really force Lawrence into tough throws and decision inside the pocket. Playing on an international stage changes a lot, honestly, but the Rams are just a better team to me, even without Puka, and both of these teams have been good internationally. And I trust the Rams' pass rush to step up in this spot against a beatable Jags offensive line to change this game and help the offense out. So I'm picking them to take this one, 24-17. The Chiefs host the Raiders this week after Sunday night's big win over the Lions. That was a big bounce back from the Jacksonville loss where we really saw the offense getting things going. And now they can carry that momentum into this game where they add Rashee Rice into the mix. They've needed him badly this season, as we all know the difference maker he was late in his rookie season and early in year 2. But even without him, Mahomes is leading this Chiefs team to a top 5 ranking in third down efficiency and red zone offense. With Rice back alongside Worthy, Brown, and Kelsey, this is not a good spot for the Raiders on the road. Geno Smith has obviously struggled a ton earlier this season, and the Raiders defense has also given up 24 plus in 4 of its last 5 games. And on top of that, the Vegas offense could be without Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers again. Kansas City's defense is obviously a very good unit, and they've rushed the passer really well so far. So this feels like a spot where Kansas City wins in blowout fashion, 31-14. The Dolphins head to the Browns this week in what should be an ugly matchup, not just because of the teams, but the weather is looking rough with severe winds expected. Obviously that kills a lot of offense, which could give the Browns an edge with the better defense, but at the same time, I think it could help Miami a bit because of their explosive playmakers. A lot of their passing concepts are short action and motion based, and obviously Achane provides a ton of big playability as a ball carrier. The Browns' offense, on the other hand, really doesn't have much going for them at all, and Dillon Gabriel has clearly shown limitations. They average just 16 points per game in his starts and sit bottom 5 in both yards per attempt and third down conversions. That's just not going to get you points in these conditions up against a Miami defense that's top 10 in sacks and pressure rate, and has been better over the last month or so. On top of that, I really just don't want to be laying points with the Browns as a favorite right now. I'll take the Dolphins on the road as a dog this week, 20-13. The Patriots are on the road in Tennessee this week, and there's a lot of angles in their favor in this game to me. The obvious one is Vrabel returning to Tennessee, who fired him 2 years ago, but I also love the strides this Patriots offense has made this season, especially Drake May, who's creeping towards the top end of my quarterback list. And now he'll face a Titans defense that's one of the worst in the league in total yards allowed and opponent passer rating. And on the other hand, while I am a fan of Cam Ward's arm and future in the league, Tennessee's offense has been one of the worst in the NFL. They're 31st in scoring and dead last in yardage. I don't really see them sustaining drives against this Patriots defense and secondary at all. The Titans also just fired head coach Brian Callahan, so it's unclear as to what impact that'll have. Likely positive long term, although it could definitely be positive in the short term as well, giving a bit of a mental edge. But this Titans team is still just not good at all, and the Patriots have looked like a potential playoff threat in the AFC, and has gone 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 games. So this feels like a game New England controls from start to finish, 28-14. The winless Jets get a big chance at a win this week as they host the Carolina Panthers. This team has been in some battles throughout the year, but it's just not looked good whatsoever and are winless for a reason. The pass offense has been abysmal, and the defense has given up 28 points a game, which is bottom 5 in the league. Not only that, but the rookie coaching mistakes from Aaron Glenn have been adding up and making it worse for New York so far. And on the other end of this game, although the Panthers have not been good on the road whatsoever the past couple seasons, they have looked much better lately, winning 3 of their last 4 games and putting together a really strong second half against Arizona before that. They've won back-to-back games by just a field goal, so they've been battle-tested in the clutch, and I've said I'm a Bryce Young believer before, but we are now seeing that growth with him. I think this is going to be another game the Panthers can win against a team they're just better than, so give me Carolina 27-20. The Bears are back home taking on the Saints this week, and although I think the Bears have proven to be the better team so far, there are some advantages in this game for the Saints that give me some pause, especially with the spread of around 5 points. For starters, Chicago's coming off a big Monday night win on the road, and teams in that spot often struggle the following week, especially when facing solid defenses. The Saints have given up a decently high point per game average, but they're in the top half of the league in yards allowed, top 10 in red zone defense, and have battled in every game but the one in Seattle. The Bears have been playing really solid football lately, but some regression feels likely given the short turnaround to me, especially considering Spencer Rattler has quietly been one of the more consistent young quarterbacks in the league this year. He's completing almost 70% of his passes and has looked good under pressure as well to me. The Saints' offense has improved each week as he's grown more comfortable. Chicago's probably going to find a way to win this game at home still, but the situational spot as well as Rattler's play give me some good reason to expect another tight game here. So I'll take the Bears close, 27-23. The Eagles head to Minnesota this week to take on the Vikings, and this is a pretty interesting matchup to me. It looks like the Vikings will be starting Carson Wentz at quarterback one more time this week, which I think is smart, as JJ's first game back being against a struggling Eagles team that really needs a strong, complete performance as soon as possible. It would be a pretty rough spot for him, especially when the Eagles still rank top 10 in both rushing and time of possession, which go hand in hand with where the Vikings defense has struggled. I don't really love Wentz in this spot either. However, I really just don't think the Eagles are all that great this season. They've looked shaky all year, the passing game has not existed most of the time, and the defense has gotten burnt way more than expected this season. And the Vikings have a bunch of weapons that can exploit that defense, and a pass rush that can put pressure on Hurts enough to make this team even more one-dimensional than they already are. I just don't think the Eagles should be the ones laying points on the road in this game, so I'm going to roll with the Vikings at home to come away with a win this week, 24-21. The Colts are on the road this week in LA taking on the Chargers, and this Chargers offense is so hard to trust with how the offensive line is performing. They did get the win in Miami last week, but it was not too pretty, and that Dolphins team just is not great at all. This week's matchup is going to be so much tougher, as Indianapolis has consistently gotten pressure and done a much better job as a defense than Miami. It should make life a lot harder on Herbert this week. And on the other side, the Colts offense continues to click at a high level. I can't really say the same for the Chargers, who despite having a coordinator I really love in Jesse Minter, have not performed up to standard 3 weeks in a row now defensively. A couple weeks ago, I would have been on the Chargers in this spot, but this Colts team has just been flat out better, and I do not trust this offensive line in LA at all right now. So give me the Colts on the road this week, 30-27. The Broncos host the Giants this week, with New York coming off of a massive Thursday night win over the division rival Eagles last week. This offense has looked genuinely good with Dart and Scatterboo in that backfield, even with the absence of Malik Neighbors, and part of it has to do with the defense putting them in great spots. Denver has been the more consistent team overall and should have an edge in the trenches, especially with their own pass rush, but this Giants team looks to be tough out regardless. Over the last 3 games, they put up over 25 points per game, and the entire vibe of the team has gotten more physical behind Scatterboo's presence. Defensively, as I said, the Giants have been very good. They're top 10 in red zone defense and have been forcing turnovers at a high rate. Denver's offense has been really hit or miss and has gone through some rough stretches in games this season, so I'm definitely expecting a lower scoring game here, which does lead me to believe that the Giants can cover a spread up to a touchdown. But the Broncos at home should really not drop this game, especially as they compete for a potential division title with both the Chiefs and the Chargers. So I'll roll with the Broncos in this one, 24-20. The Packers are on the road this week at the Cardinals, and while I think it's obvious the Packers are not as good as we thought they were after the first couple weeks, I think they're still a good team and just need to continue growing as an offense. And this matchup bodes pretty well for them. The Cardinals should be getting Kyler Murray back this week, but it didn't really hurt them last week in Indianapolis. But if he misses, I do think the effect of missing a leader can weigh on you a lot when you face elite defenses, and I just don't expect a performance like that out of Jacoby Brissett again if he has to go. And if Kyler is available, which sounds very possible, I still think this Cardinals team is very outmatched. They've dropped some rough games this year and have no real consistency on either side of the ball. Green Bay can use last week's win to their advantage and get back rolling this week. So I'm going to take them on the road to win and cover, 28-17. The Cowboys dropped a road game to the Panthers last week. I was so close to taking them that upset, but I just had a lot of faith in Dak Prescott being able to escape Carolina with a win. And the Dallas defense just let Bryson Dowdle absolutely cook them down the stretch. Despite the continuous defensive woes, I still love this Dallas offense, and they may be getting CeeDee Lamb back this week. A much-needed boost as they'll host the Commanders coming off a Monday night home loss to the Chicago Bears. This Commanders team does have some injuries, but they've been so up and down this season, it's really hard to trust them on a weekly basis. And I think Dallas is going to get just about whatever they want at home against this defense. Obviously, the same can be said for Jaden Daniels against the Cowboys, but in a high-scoring shootout, I honestly just trust the Cowboys at home to be more consistent, especially with the Commanders likely out both Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. So give me Dallas here as a home dog, 31-24. The 49ers are back at home this week taking on the Falcons, and despite both Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall still out, as well as a banged-up defense, I actually think this is a really even matchup. The 49ers still rank top 10 in total offense with Mac Jones, partly due to the schedule, but Jones is clearly experienced and CMC remains a strong weapon, and they look to be adding George Kittle back into the offense this week. And the Falcons are coming off an emotional Monday night win, a spot teams historically tend to struggle in the following week, especially on the road against physical opponents like the Niners. Penix has looked sharp recently to me, and Bijan Robinson continues to play like arguably the best running back in football. But this is a tougher matchup than it looks, as the Niners are historically so good at home. Atlanta's offensive line hasn't been the best this season in terms of pass protection either, which could definitely help out the Niners defense a little bit. So mostly due to the spot of this game, I'm going to roll with the Niners at home in Kittle's return, 27-20. The first game Monday night is a huge one for potential playoff seeding down the line, with the Lions hosting the Buccaneers. The Bucs beat the Niners last week despite the injuries, but are now out Egbuka as well. And the Lions dropped a road game to Kansas City last week. But Dan Campbell and the Lions have won 11 straight games following a loss dating back to the 2022 season. This time around, though, the Lions are out a ton of players in the secondary, now with Brian Branch suspension being the latest. But the Bucs are now down Godwin, Egbuka, McMillan, and Bucky Irving from this game, and they might be getting Mike Evans back. But the Lions get a much-needed boost back with Lee McNeil rejoining the lineup this week. Back home on a Monday night, Ford Field will be rocking, and although Baker has been exceptional and will absolutely find ways to score in this beat-up secondary, I just don't see the Lions losing this game. I'll take them against a last stop Monday night and win by a field goal, 31-28. The last game of the week and second of Monday night is the Texans at the Seahawks. I really love what I've seen out of the Seahawks offense this season. Sam Darnold's been consistent and efficient as a passer, and his connection with JSN has been truly elite. His advanced statistics are towards the top of the league pretty much across the board, and his deep ball accuracy has been a huge plus for this offense's big play ability. They'll be in for a tougher week this week, though, against a near-elite Texans defense. Derek Stingley can cause a lot of issues for that passing game, and obviously that pass rush is incredible, led by Will Anderson. But the Seahawks may be the best offense the Texans defense has seen at the same time. And on the other hand, the Texans offense has looked a little better lately, but their struggles this season are clear and obvious. I'm just not expecting a ton out of them on the road this week against Seattle. And even so, they'd have to outperform one of the better offenses in the league to win this one in a primetime spot. So I'm going to roll to Seattle at home to wrap up the week, 27-17. That's it for my Week 7 NFL picks. Let me know your thoughts on any of these games down in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
BARK Radio.